Fournier tries to even it up, and he does. Evan Fournier, another big bucket. Both these teams, that players played a lot of minutes. Fournier puts it in. Evan Fournier, red hot in overtime. Schroeder is on Fournier. Backs in, tied up. Cross court to Barrett. Barrett tries a three. It's good. Randle spins, gets inside. Layup is up. It's good. And the foul. Robinson looks for Rose. Brown picks him up. Fournier fakes. Sets himself. Three-pointer. Bang! Evan Fournier from downtown. Knicks back up by 2. Fournier's got 32.
That was excellent execution.
Gets it to Fournier. For some of these guys, it's hard to stand up.
And there's a wet spot here by half court that they're not taking care of.
Derrick Rose looking. Rose on the drive. Off the glass. Banks it home. Timeout.
Let's go!
Listen to this crowd.
Let's go! Let's go, baby! Everybody lit out here. We got a nice W. Shouldn't have taken 2 overtimes to get it done, but it's all good. We're going to live with the result. Let's go Knicks, baby, 1-0. Best team in the city. Believe that.
Hey, what's going on? Quis here from Sports Vibes TV, and today I'm doing a nice little solo stream talking about last game's victory over the Celtics. Now, as you guys see, I was in attendance along with Inf, and it was a crazy game. A game the Knicks should have pulled out in regulation, but the fact that we were able to persevere and, still that win in double OT was great to watch. It would have sucked if he would have had to leave and witness an L on opening night, but luckily, Evan Fournier did his thing in overtime. Julius Randle put the team on his back for stretches, and the game was a phenomenal watch. To see this team put together that type of performance live, I think was great. There are some issues that the team had to resolve throughout the game or are going to have to deal with, but for the most part, I liked a lot of what I saw out there. Julius Randle, you got to start with him. He's pretty much the engine to this team, the catalyst. Went out there, dropped 35 points on 12 or 27 shooting, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks. He had 7 turnovers, but, first game in the regular season, the things you're going to have to work through. But when you go out there and drop 35 points, I'm not going to nitpick on the 7 turnovers. Something he's definitely going to have to work on, but he did all he could to make sure we came out with that W, so I'm not going to kill him for that. Let me just put the actual box score on the screen for you guys. Also, let me know how you're doing today. Beautiful day. Well, I don't even know. I didn't go outside most of the day, but still trying to recuperate from that win yesterday. You guys let me know down in the comments how you're feeling about the game. Let's see who we got so far. Jet for Life saying, let's get it. Uncle Fulio always saying, salute to Quis. I saw you at the game yesterday, big fella. Now, did you see me on the Jumbotron? Because in overtime, Inf and I did end up on the Jumbotron. So if you were in the garden and you were looking up for that split second, you might have seen me. Fulio, let me know where you actually saw me. Thank you for pulling up to this live stream and supporting the stream. Already, you still think we paid too much for Fournier? I mean, if he's going to perform like that every night, then no way. But wait, not going to think that we paid too much if he's going to go out there and perform like that every night. I mean, let's skip ahead to Fournier real quick just to pull up some of his numbers. 32 points, 12 of which happened in the extra time and overtime. He had 9 points in the first OT, 3 clutch back-to-back 3-pointers, and then he knocked down another one in the second overtime. He was balling. To start the game, Julius Randle, he was clicking. There was a lot of ISO with Julius Randle. The Celtics were switching a lot. So Julius Randle was taking advantage of his matchups. But Evan Fournier was cooking out there as well to start the game. So if he's going to perform like that every night, then I'm going to have to eat my words. If I'm going to be wrong, I hope I'm wrong in a way that it benefits the Knicks. And me saying that we paid a little bit too much for Evan Fournier and him coming and proving that we did not, then, I'll live with that every day. I'll live with that for every player. If I think they're a little bit overpaid and then they come out and show that they are getting paid what they should be paid based on their performance, then that's cool with me. Worldwide L is saying salute, salute. Lex the Destroyer was good. He's saying salute, Key, salute to the chat and the wrench mob. New York, stand up. We here. Best team in New York City. Believe that. I said it last night at the game. I came down from my high of that victory, and I still feel the same way. Drip Morris saying salute, Sports Vibes TV. Salute. Let's see what else we got here. Fulio saying get those likes up. Appreciate the support, Fulio. Make sure you guys check him out over on MBK. Nothing but Knicks. Dropping some heat over there with the controversy, and that's the controversy with a K. So let's get back into the game a little bit. Julius Randle, like I said, he was the catalyst. But to me, I think one of the most important pieces out there last night was Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson came in. He got the start, something that I didn't expect initially because I didn't know Taj Gibson was going to be out and with the birth of his child. So congratulations to Taj Gibson. Once again, expanding the extended Knicks family. But Mitchell Robinson was out there. He was a beast. 11 points. 5 of 5 from the field, efficient as always with Mitch. Could have been better on the free throw shooting at 1 of 4. The team as a whole could have been better at the free throw line. I was at the game and kept telling me, hey, bro, we shooting under 70% from the free throw line. And we're going to have to get that up. But, when you have a win like this, not going to nitpick it, just going to have to mention it because that is an area the Knicks are going to have to improve. Well, Mitchell Robinson, 17 rebounds in total. 5 of those offensive rebounds. 5 of those 17 rebounds are offensive rebounds. And of those offensive rebounds, we got second chance points on every single one. Before I got on the stream, I made sure I rewatched the game on the ESPN feed. And every single time Mitchell Robinson had an offensive rebound, we got second chance buckets. I believe there were 3 putbacks from Mitchell Robinson. I think another one was for Julius Randle shot. I think it was a 3, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think he had one more, but I can't remember who was the recipient of that assist. Of that, offensive rebound, second chance point. So Mitchell Robinson was a beast, and he was a factor defensively. There was a moment, when was it? About 7:27 in the third, and there was some collapse in the defense. It was a transition. We were in transition, and Mitchell Robinson had to step up and try to contest a transition 3, and he forced the guy to pump fake and pass. And it ended up being, I think it was Romeo Langford. He ended up being in the paint by himself. And we saw Mitchell Robinson with the fact that he's able to have that, those athletic gifts that you don't see in a lot of centers. He was able to contest the 3 and then run back to the restricted area and force an errant pass. And D Rose was able to get that interception. He was able to pick the pass off. And that, once again, led to, I don't know if it led to points exactly, but it just shows the defensive versatility of Mitchell Robinson. And that's why I think Mitchell Robinson could legitimately be a defensive player of the year this season. And if he's going to continue to be a factor like this, he should be getting some votes at the end of this season. Just got to make sure he stays healthy. And, he started to get a little bit more of that bounce that we were missing, or that I was missing from his previous game against the Wizards. And if Mitchell Robinson is going to play every game like he did last night, 11, averaging a double-double, then the Knicks, we're going to be a team that's going to legitimately be knocking at the door for a conference finals berth. I strongly believe that. The Knicks look good. There was some issues. One of the gripes I had, we gave up a 6-point lead with 44 seconds to go. We gave up a 4-point lead with 9 seconds to go. And, Evan Fournier had a defensive lapse. He went to go double Jason Tatum at the end, last play in regulation, to try to, force a turnover, I'm assuming. And it didn't work out. The gamble did not work. It's not a gamble I would have taken out there. And you saw Tatum was able to get the ball to, if I'm not mistaken, Schroeder. And then Schroeder got the ball to Marcus Smart for the game time 3 at the end of regulation. I don't know what Kemba was doing either, because it looked like Kemba was trying to, stop penetrating, and we're up 3. Schroeder's not about to drive into the lane. So that's definitely something we're going to have to work on. Those are definitely issues we discussed, or at least I discussed here on the channel leading into the season. How are we going to kind of overcome Kemba and Evan Fournier's sometimes, defensive, defensive issues they have on that side of the court. But we saw we're gonna have to outshoot teams. We're gonna have to go and score more points than the other team, even though we are gonna be giving up better looks this season than last season. But I think we're better equipped to withstand long runs, and we also have the firepower, as you can see, to go up there and put up big numbers. I mean, how many players? Like, if you look at the player that that Fournier is replacing, Reggie Bullock, do any of us think Bullock would have been able to put up a 30-some-odd point performance? No, I don't think so. And I think that, I think with Evan Fournier, the fact that he is able to do a lot more out there offensively, we're going to be all right with some of the defensive drawbacks we're going to see with Fournier and Kemba out there on the paint. All right, let's see what you guys going on. Said third eye open is saying Knicks need a floor space and center. I mean, we looked pretty good when we went small ball. So if we have Julius Randle as that floor spacing center with Obi, I think right now we're seeing that more small ball lineup orchestrate or generate a lot of runs out there. Last game, I don't know exactly when. Tibbs went to the small ball lineup when we were down 67-58 in the third. And that small ball lineup went on a 28-15 run to close the quarter. And we were able to finish that quarter leading 86-82. So I understand you when you say we need a floor space and center. And, the results are kind of saying that as well. But we can try until we're able to get somebody like that. I think Mitchell Robinson could develop into someone like that. We've all seen the highlights of him in the gym, putting up threes, putting up jump shots. So hopefully he can develop into that. If not, we have the small ball option where we have Obi out there at the 4 and we have Julius Randle at the 5, which would give us a similar result. Third eye open is saying Fournier is inconsistent. Next game, I see him scoring no more than 15 points. I mean, if he scores 15 points, that's cool. I think the way this team is set up is going to be like by committee. So you have Julius Randle as that constant, and then you're going to see players like a Fournier. You're going to see players like a Kemba, RJ Barrett, who we'll talk about a little bit more in the show, Obi Toppin. You'll see them step up in certain games and when it's required for them to kind of come alive. So Fournier may be inconsistent, but at the end of the day, he is a role player. He's a very good role player. So you're going to expect some sort of inconsistency. For the most part, consistent players are going to be like those stars or those wily vets like a Derrick Rose, who even he didn't have the greatest game tonight or last night. Third Eye was saying salute. Jet for Life is saying salute. Lex the Destroyer, pay Mitch. Pay Mitch within reason. We saw Robert Williams out there on the court with him. We can see how he can affect the game. He got a contract right around 10 to 12 million per season. If Mitch were able to sign for something like that, I think that would be perfectly fine. I'd live with it. That's a reasonable contract for a guy like Mitch, who, as we saw last night, can be a game changer. I was a little nervous entering the game, seeing that Taj Gibson was not going to be available. Nerlens Noel still dealing with the injury, and Mitch, who we're supposed to be easing back into game action, is going to be the starting center. And then behind him, we had Jericho Sims, who I think was, serviceable for the 58th overall pick, but we really didn't have much to back up Mitch. So the fact that Obi is starting to gain, Tibbs' trust as a legitimate option out there for that small ball lineup, I think that worked great for us. It allowed us to give Mitchell Robinson a breather. Also, the fact that Mitchell Robinson has gotten much better when it comes to not causing stupid fouls. We saw Mitch. I think he didn't pick up his second or third foul if he had 3 fouls. I think he picked up his second foul in like overtime or the last quarter, fourth quarter. So if Mitch is going to continue to play smart defense, sound defense, then he only had 2 fouls. So he picked up the second foul in like overtime or something. So I'm really happy with what I've been seeing from Mitch. And if we're going to pay him, I'm perfectly fine with a reasonable contract. I don't know if I go Jared Allen money. That might be a little too much. But, 10 to 12, $13 million this season is going to be phenomenal, for me at least. Noel and Burks trade pieces. Burks can't play defense. Yeah, Burks was getting cooked by Jaylen Brown, who he had a hell of a game. I can't talk about last night's game and not give Jaylen Brown some kudos. I know he plays for the Ops, but you got to give respect where respect is due. Let's see. Jaylen Brown, 46 points, 16 to 30 shooting, 8 of 14 from 3, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 4 turnovers. I'm perfectly fine with that. I wish he would have had more, but that's cool. He was cooking Fournier initially to start the game. I think he had like 11 or 12 quick buckets in the first quarter. Most of them were on Fournier's head top, and then he was also cooking with gas on Burks as well. Not the biggest fan of Burks. I could have lived with us signing someone else. I would have been fine if we would have signed Reggie Bullock and had him come off the bench just for defensive purposes, as opposed to Alec Burks. But I'm sure he'll have better games. First game of the season, and he'll figure things out, and he'll be better. What did he do? He was pretty much a non-factor for the most part. Let's see, what did Burks do? Yeah, 5 points, 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. 2 personal fouls. He was -5 out there on the court. Nerlens Noel, it's unfortunate Nerlens Noel is still dealing with this injury. You would have liked if he would have been available to start the season. Hopefully, though, he's able to come back quick, because I don't want us having to play Mitchell Robinson 34 minutes a night coming back from that Jones fracture injury. Also, quick fun fact, I believe Zion is also dealing with the similar injuries to Mitchell Robinson. So keep an eye on that as well, especially those that want us to go out and try to bring in Julius Randle. Let's see, who else do we have to talk about? Kemba didn't have the greatest game. They attacked him. Again, defensively, for the most part, we've seen teams try to come at either Kemba Walker or Derrick Rose for the most part. But, he's still getting into the swing of things, learning his teammates out there, so he'll get better. His 3-point shot, he's knocking down his 3 points. He was 3 or 4 out there, but wasn't great finishing around the rim. I think he had 1 or 2 shots in the paint that he wasn't able to convert on. But, first game back, I think. First game back in the Garden for him in front of the home crowd. First game against the Celtics, who, they jettisoned him at the end of last season. So we probably had a whole bunch of adrenaline flowing, and, probably why he got mixed up a lot in the clutch. Just a little too much going on. Things are probably moving too fast when you're excited. Playing in Madison Square Garden, because the Garden was electric. I'm telling you, it was bonkers. I was even caught up in the moment. I'm out there screaming. I barely had any of voice. I couldn't go live after the game. I had to rest my voice for a little bit. I was out there screaming and enjoying myself. If you guys have an opportunity, make sure you try and get yourself into the Garden for one of these games, because it's definitely an experience. I mean, coming from being at the Garden during the pandemic to what it was yesterday, night and day. I mean, it was loud during the pandemic when there was 2,000 or what was it, 3,000 fans in the stadium, but it was different. And then they gave us these little wristbands. They were light up within the stadium. It was a pretty dope fan experience. I'm not going front. Definitely a dope fan experience. Knicks 100 a game is saying we trade Noel, this team will fall apart instantly. I don't know about that. I mean, we've been 4-0 in preseason without Noel, and then we're 1-0 so far this season. I think the team looks pretty good with the small ball lineup, and the team looks just as good with Mitch at the center. I think we're deep enough to, withstand losing a Nerlens Noel. I think the biggest thing we get from Nerlens Noel is that rim protection. And when you go small with like a Julius Randle, I don't think we're too concerned, especially with the defense we saw yesterday. Like RJ Barrett was guarding Tatum on a drive, and we saw Julius Randle come over and help rotate on defense and stop a drive. So I'm not too concerned about the rim protection if we do go small. Julius Randle has shown last season that he's a pretty, he's gotten much better on the defensive end, even got, all NBA defense votes. So not too concerned about moving on from Noel and seeing this team fall apart instantly. I think we played sound enough defense, and our offense has now reached the level where we can, shoot with teams. We're not worried about trying to keep them in the 90s. I feel like if a game goes into the 100, 110s, the Knicks have enough firepower to play up there with those, high octane offenses you see out there in the NBA. Do I want them to go out there and do it every night? No, but if we have to, this team can adjust and play that brand of basketball. Jet for Life is saying Burks is a willing defender. Yeah, he's okay. Still having the conversation. Let's see what's going on. Salute to my guy George into the Knicks verse. Let's see. Mitch getting signed. Tibbs loves Mitch. George, I hope we sign him to a reasonable contract. Of course, nothing too crazy. 12, like I said in the beginning of the stream, 10 to 12 million, I think is reasonable. A solid price for Mitchell Robinson. I think it would be a similar deal to like Julius Randle, where you're getting a little bit more value on the contract, but now you've got somebody that's got some long-term security. Let's see what else we got. Lex the Destroyer saying Fournier over Bullock. That's a fact. This versus that is saying salute. Ever since I heard Jay Boogie say salute. Whenever I hear salute, it just catchy. Salute. Let's see. Ben Simmons mid-season. Nah, I'm good with Ben Simmons. We don't need that negativity. Oh, I didn't even know Jay Boogie was in the chat. What's good? Salute, Jay Boogie. If you feeling the vibe, hit that like. Shout out to the chat. Salute. 3 capital S's. See? Boogie, you gonna live forever, bro. Really didn't even know you was in the chat. Saying no, nobody wants Ben Simmons. That's a fact. We don't need Ben Simmons. He's a talented player, but mentally, I don't think he'll be a right fit for the New York media. I mean, if he can't take Philly media, New York media is not far off. So if things aren't working out with him over there, I mean, the thing about the Knicks is we don't really bash our own as much as Philly fans do. But if you're not performing, we aren't going to be shy about letting you know we need you to step your game up. So me personally, I'm good on Ben Simmons being here with the New York Knicks. Yeah, I'm good off that. Shout out to him. I hope Philly figures that out. Hopefully they don't figure it out in time for them to be serious contenders for a championship. Leave a little crack for us to maybe get into the conference finals, and who knows where we go from there. So let's get into, I think, RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, I think, was phenomenal last night. He was great defensively, went off in the third quarter at what I think was 14 points, 4 shooting. What was it? 2 of 2 from 3. And if he's going to continue to play defense like that, he's going to be another player that has to be in the running when it comes to all NBA defense. He's definitely going to deserve some votes. He held Jason Tatum to about 7 for 30 in the game. Now, of course, he wasn't guarding him on all those shots, but for the most part, he was giving Jason Tatum hell. And I don't know, man. RJ's picking up some things from these Drew Hanlon training sessions, because that's Bradley Beal he done locked up, and now he's locking up Jason Tatum. So don't tell me he's not in those sessions looking at those guys and picking up on some of their moves, so he can then go in the season and shut them down. So shout out to RJ Barrett, phenomenal defense. Hopefully he can continue to grow on that side of the ball and grow offensively as well, because I think he can definitely be a two-way star for us. We saw him like lock up Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, and it's crazy because I shot a video. I wasn't able to get it out until yesterday, right before the game, maybe a couple hours before the game, so I really didn't get too much traffic, but I said exactly what went down in the game. We needed RJ Barrett to be that two-way star for us. I said in that video, I want to see how RJ Barrett handles Jason Tatum, and he was able to, like I said, lock him up, and this bodes well for RJ Barrett trying to guard those bigger threes that may not be, super physical, but those quick threes with some height. And RJ Barrett stepped up to the challenge and he answered. So if RJ Barrett is going to be able to do that, and if RJ Barrett can shoot the way he's been shooting, then he's going to fill into that role as as guarding the best perimeter threat, and also being able to contribute offensively. And that's something we didn't get from Reggie Bullock. Even though Evan Fournier is the direct replacement for Reggie Bullock, it's RJ Barrett who's taking Reggie Bullock's role on this team. So if everything stays the same and you're looking at RJ Barrett taking over Reggie Bullock's role as that defender, and then on the offensive side, he's giving you things that you could have never imagined or hoped from Reggie Bullock. I think that's just a massive upgrade on the offensive end, because we already talked about in the beginning of this show how Evan Fournier is a step up from Reggie Bullock offensively. So if we're able to get similar defense from RJ Barrett, and we're able to get upgrades offensively from both Fournier and RJ, I think it just shows how dangerous this team could be offensively. And we just need to not take too much of a step back defensively, and we should be, solid for this season. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Says we're gonna finish Halloween 5-1. I hope so. I hope so. We definitely need to have a strong start to this season, because we're gonna have a hellacious West Coast trip, and I believe either February or March, and that's when things can get a little bit ugly. So if we can build a cushion before we get there, I think that'd be perfect for this New York Knicks. Saying quickly needs to adjust his game fast. The league is not calling those bait fouls anymore. That's a fact. I thought we saw him kind of adjust in preseason, even though he didn't shoot that great from the floor, but he wasn't, trying to get those herky jerk fouls. But hopefully he's able to find his shot throughout the rest of this couple games. I don't want to see him come off and have a slow start, because you know what they're going to say. It's the sophomore slump, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully he's able to figure things out before the media starts to pile on him. Lucky for us, Obi has hit the ground running. He was phenomenal. Obi, what was Obi's total score with the Knicks? Obi, 14 points, 6 of 9 from the field. They didn't knock any of his 3 points down, but he was 2 or 3 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 1 block. He had what should have been a nice assist too. I think it was to Mitch, but Mitch couldn't convert the two-handed dunk. I think Schroeder fouled him. It was a nice pass though, so shout out to Obi for that one. I liked a lot of what I saw from Obi. I included Obi in that X Factor video as well. It was Mitch, RJ, and Obi, and they all went out and had a phenomenal game last night and helped, drive us to that victory. Obi had a great game, and I think, Obi led the team in points in the fourth quarter with 8. So he led the team in those clutch moments when it comes to points in the fourth. And if he's able to continue to play like this, he's going to be one of the most important players on the team, I think, because 1, he'll be able to give Julius Randle some breathers, and 2, he'll be able to move Julius Randle to the 5 when we go small ball. So the fact that Obi is starting to come along strong, Tibbs is starting to, trust him, get him out there more. I think that bodes well for the New York Knicks if Obi can continue to develop. He's working on his offensive game. We've seen him with a few dribble moves. He's working on some, post moves as well. Hopefully we see a little bit more of him operating in the post when he has mismatches. I think Obi is gonna definitely surprise some people this season. I know George is in the chat, a big fan of Obi. I'm sure he agrees with me that Obi is going to be doing some special things this season. It's all going to come down to Tibbs continuing to trust him, continuing to have him out there on the floor in these high pressure, high impact moments. And I think we'll see the best from Obi moving forward. Hopefully, you never know with these things, but I'm pretty confident what Obi can do. I like what I've seen, even working with Dave Zenon from the Westchester Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, and they've been doing a lot of good work out there. So let's see if Obi is able to continue this pretty good start to the season. George is still talking about Mitch. I think Mitch's deal would be about $2 million more per over Nerlens. So what's that, about 13, 14 mil? That's a reasonable price. Obi with the Dr. J layup, facts. Obi has a block in every game, don't he? I'm not 100% sure. To be honest with you, I'd have to go through the box scores, but Obi has definitely taken a step up in defense. He's been solid defensively, and this is what has allowed him to get on the court in these small ball lineups. And I think the Knicks are very dangerous with this small ball lineup, because if we're not taking a step back defensively, and now we've got 5 players out there on the court that can knock down the 3, it's, who is the defense going to pick to say, all right, we're going to let you get that open shot? It's probably going to be Obi. And if Obi is able to continue to develop his game offensively, then he should have a lot of open looks, whether it be the corner 3 or whether it be attacking the paint off of the defense trying to rotate. Let's see. We're going to be hurt by playoff time. We got 82 wars. We need to go get a big fish to ensure we good for the finals. No, to go get a big fish, it would all depend on the deal, because I think right now this Knicks team is extremely deep. So I don't want to mess with our depth in order to bring in that key piece who may not be enough to get us over that threshold, to get us over the hump. So I would prefer to wait till the off season, because then you've got some big fish that are supposed to hit free agency. At the trade deadline, they may want too much. I mean, yes, we saw Tibbs kind of cut the rotation down to 8, but I'm not going to sit here and say I would be okay if Tibbs decided to move on from somebody that was cut from the original rotation, whether that be, I think, IQ, he got his minutes cut. Grimes, he got in, but he didn't really do much. Sims, he got his minutes cut toward the end of the game, and then he played Burks sparingly towards the end of the game. So if you're saying we're going to make a package of some of those players and move them with picks to get a big piece, maybe, but I don't think that would be enough to really go out there and bring in, Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal if they were available. It's going to cost more. So I don't think I would try to go out and get the big fish now. I think the team is still trying to learn to play with each other, play together. So I want to wait until I see how we look when we're running or firing on all cylinders before I go and try to make a big trade and shake everything up. Let's see. Salute to all the mods. Facts. Thank you, Canal. Salute to all the mods. I don't see the wrenches. Big Task is in the building. Canal. Any other mods? Salute to you guys. Thank you for holding it down and monitoring the chat. Appreciate everything you guys do. Nick Yak is saying Lakers aren't better than us. That is a Snapple fact. They got to worry about Brickbrook turning the ball over. I was pretty nice at the game. So I forgot what LeBron tweeted, and I retweeted it. I was like, bro, you need to mind your business. You got other things you need to be concerned about over in Staples, because we good over here. You're gonna have to figure out what's going on with your point guard situation. He's giving the ball up every possession. Knicks 100 said IQ for Reddish in a heartbeat. Reddish, I think, like his build, he's the prototypical 3, I think. So if I wanted to bring in somebody that was a prototypical 3 and try to have them grow into that starting 3, Reddish would be an option. I don't know if I would throw IQ in the deal, because I still don't know where IQ's peak could be. Like, I think he can still be someone that can facilitate, but it still remains to be seen. I'd be on the fence about a Cam trade, because Cam is probably just as inconsistent as IQ, and he's been in the league longer, so he's up for a deal sooner. So I'd be a little bit hesitant of including IQ. I was cool with trading Knox for Cam, because we're not using Knox, so I'll do that trade in a heartbeat. But IQ, I'd be a little bit hesitant. Let's see. Facts, Big Task. Like, smash that like button. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps out the channel. Lets me know you guys are feeling the content. Says we got 44 likes and about 103 in chat. So can you guys just smash that like button? See if we can't get it to like 50%. That'd be 50 likes and 100 views. I definitely appreciate it. Nick Yak is saying quickly will lose minutes to McBride by All-Star game. To be honest, I was shocked to see Tibbs call Grimes. I was like, oh, okay. Even though it really wasn't much time, but shocked to see it. So we may see McBride get the call, come in defensively, because Kemba and D Rose are still getting cooked out there on defense. So there may be a moment where, or maybe a situation where Tibbs decides, hey, McBride, I need you to get in here, lock this guy up. And we have enough playmakers out there that we don't have to worry about you running the point for now. So I can see him coming in and taking minutes. It's going to be him or Grimes gunning for IQ's minute at this point. Lexus Destroyer saying Knox in a second for Cam, no problem. Facts in a heartbeat, because it does not seem like Knox is part of this rotation, and it did not seem like Knox has gotten good enough defensively or with his awareness out there on the court to see significant minutes under Tom Thibodeau. There may be other coaches that'll live with it and still have him go out there and learn on the fly, but unfortunately, Tom Thibodeau is not one of those coaches. So I think, the Knox era in New York is quiet for that. Let's see, Jericho Sims, we talked about him earlier. He really didn't do much. 7 minutes. He was, serviceable, -7 for the 58th overall pick. I'm not going to nitpick anything, with him. Probably wasn't even expected to really see much minutes anyway. So the fact that I can't think of anything off the top of my head and say, damn, what was he doing? I think that is a pretty good game for Jericho Sims. Who else? Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose didn't have the greatest of games either, but he did have pretty much sealed it at the end with a little layup. But he was serviceable. It was a good floor general out there for his time. 9 points, 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. He was +7 for the game. I was shocked when he wasn't initially out there to close the game. They had Kemba out there at first, but to finish the second OT, they put Derrick Rose in, which to me made more sense. Canal is saying 60 people lacking. Facts. Oh, we got the 56. So salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all holding me down and actually getting to the 50 threshold. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for holding it down. Lex, Big Task, the Lamont's on duty. Appreciate y'all. Let's see. I feel like nobody wanted the ball on those late game fast breaks. I mean, I don't think we had any Ben Simmons moments. But one thing is this team is getting in transition a lot more this season than last season. There's a lot of fast break buckets, a lot of easy points for Obi in transition, which is something we definitely need to see more of. Get Obi into a flow, and I think we'll see more. We'll see better results from him when we're running in the half court offense once he gets into rhythm. Who is more beautiful, Ashanti or Mary J. Blige? I'm gonna go Ashanti, me personally. Oh, it zoomed in. All right. Salute 106 in the chat. If Sims makes that lob dunk, we are speaking differently about him. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he was bad or anything. He just nothing really jumped off the screen. He didn't do anything that was terrible to the fact that I want to bring it up on the stream, and he didn't do anything extremely good to the point where I got to make note of it on the live stream. So it was pretty good for a 58th overall pick. Let's see. Kemba, RJ, Jew, Ben, Mitch, D Rose, IQ, Evan, Obi. Rotations, we win in the chip. I won't go that far, but I think this team has enough talent to get at least to the conference finals if things fall our way. If we hit on all cylinders throughout this season, we have enough talent to get us to that point in the playoffs. Let's see what else we got. What's wrong with Mary? She's beautiful. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with Mary. Just Ashanti's my preference. I was jamming to Ashanti's music growing up, so I guess if you were a little bit older than me, Mary J is probably your selection. But I was listening to Ashanti and Ja Rule coming up, so she's just it for me. Let's see. Sims needs a lot of time. I like the small ball. Yeah. Sims definitely needs to. He needs some training. He needs some practice down there with the G League. I feel like if we were fully healthy, he would not be up here. He'd probably be down there with the Westchester Knicks, working with the coaches, trying to get better with his feel for the game, footwork, knowing where he needs to be on defense and on offense. So he'll get better. I'm not saying I don't want to say he had a bad game. I'm not saying he had a bad game or anything like that. I'm just saying as a 58th overall pick, you had a game where Julius Randle was going crazy. You had a game where Mitch is going 11 for 17, 5 offensive rebounds. Evan Fournier is going off for 30. There's not really much room in my memory to think about whether or not Jericho Sims made a decent enough pick or not. Maybe when I go back and, go through with a fine tooth comb and see exactly what he did out there, I might be able to give you a little bit more information. But I think he was serviceable with what he was asked to do. Nick Yak, Mitch will cost more every month. That's a fact. If he continues to play like this, he is without a doubt going to cost more and more for us to re-sign. I think Infinite said it I think it was Inf who said it, that if he continues to go out there, develops that mid-range shot or that corner three, he's going to be extremely expensive. And then at that point, it's going to be, do you think the Knicks should pay that price if he's able to, or if his price goes up above what the Knicks could be comfortable or willing to pay? I would have liked to see Deuce. Yeah, I would have liked to see Deuce as well. I just think opening night, I don't know if there was a great spot to get Deuce in there. Like, if you would have put Deuce in there, it would have been very similar to what we did with Frank in the playoffs last season, kind of put them in, cold and then ask them to make a play. I think we should try to ease Deuce in, I guess, in a game that doesn't have as much importance or isn't as big, where you can kind of get him in earlier, let him get into rhythm, and then you can try to go to him later on in the game to get you a defensive stop. Let's see. Sims needs G League ASAP. Yeah, definitely needs some work in the G League. Canal said we should have just paid him. Every bum in his class got that max. Yeah, but you're not going to compare Mitch to one of those max players. Yeah, Mitch versus Bamba might be interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of people that actually wanted us to try and go and get Mo Bamba. He's also supposed to be doing get a little bit more time this season to showcase his skills. Knox is a sniper. Yeah, Knox is a sniper. That's pretty much all he's shown us, though, over the last year or two, is the fact that he can knock down, catch, and shoot threes. He needs to show Tibbs a lot more than that if he's going to expect to get burned this season. And let's see. Mitch is a top 5 center now, franchise center ability. Listen, I think if Mitch shows up and he's in the defensive player of the year category, he's definitely going to be a top 5, top 3 center, I think, just with the fact that he's able to play that type of defense. And I think Mitch is 10 points easy per game. It's all going to depend on if the playmakers on this team get him the ball in the right spots where he's able to flourish out there on the court. Let's see. Mitch needs an inside game. Yeah, it would be nice if Mitch did develop more of a post game. He really hasn't shown us much offensively. Even this season, he's not really doing anything crazy on the offense. He's, for the most part, he's getting the ball, giving it back, setting screens, diving, and then finishing at the rim. I don't think he wants to mess up his efficiency. He likes being 5 for 5, 4 for 4, 6 for 6. Bamba popping them threes. I'm talking to 54 mil max. Yeah. That's right in the ballpark for those players, those bigs that have some injury concerns. Wendell Carter Jr., I got him in fantasy league. He signed a similar contract. I got Robert Williams III in fantasy. He's got a similar contract. Now I'm just waiting on Mitch to sign his contract. I got him in fantasy too. Think about how stressful life must be as a dynasty owner with Wendell Carter, Robert Williams, and Mitchell Robinson as my center trio. It's just like when one goes down, comes back, and then the other one out of commission. The life of a fantasy league owner. Sheesh. All right. I want the Knicks to stomp the Magic ears together on Friday. Facts. We should win both of these games, and at worst, a split. Definitely. I think the Magic are a step down from the Celtics in terms of competition, in terms of talent. So crazy part is Jaylen Brown went off for 40, and RJ Barrett was able to be a wash with Jason Tatum. And you're not going to find too many teams out there that have, 2 perimeter threats like that. So if one goes off, you'll live with it as long as RJ Barrett is able to kind of cancel out what that second perimeter threat is going to do. Because then at that point, it'll be Julius Randle versus, in this case, Jaylen Brown. And then you have RJ, who's supposed to be our perimeter stopper, canceling out Jason Tatum. And we have a deep team. So we ended up getting a lot of help from other players like a Fournier, Obi, and Mitch. So the fact that we're so deep, as long as our top tier talent can kind of cancel out the opposing team's top tier talent, we should be perfectly fine just because we have players that can create for themselves and for others and knock down the three. And as long as we move the ball, we don't get too ISO heavy. I mean, we got ISO crazy this game just because the Celtics were switching everything. They thought because, they got Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, who can guard bigger players, that it was be okay for them to switch and we wouldn't be able to capitalize. But Julius Randle was able to treat a lot of them like babies. Even Grant Williams, he treated him like a baby a couple times, and that was the guy that was matched up against Julius Randle a lot of times. I got to give a shout out to him too. He had three threes in like 4 or 5 minutes that helped bring them, help get them back in the game. I think it was in the fourth quarter. So, like I said, got to give credit where credit is due. He had us nervous. He had Inf had no clue who he was. I'm like, yo, that's Grant Williams, bro. He was like, I don't know who this guy is, but somebody needs to guard him. It was crazy, man. Definitely a good game. Let's see. What else we got going on? Barrett had a better game than Tatum. Yep. Tatum was extremely inefficient. 2 of 15 from 3. That's brutal. I mean, what I like, RJ Barrett was playing his defense was so great in the game that first half that I didn't realize he was scoreless till halftime. I looked up the jumbotron. I'm like, wow. RJ was 0 for 3 in score. But then in that third quarter, he made sure he played defense just as well. And he was out there, had the 14 points. So if he's able to, add upon that 14-point barrage, I think he finished the game at 19. But as long as he's not, disappearing on the offensive side for a whole half, we'll be fine. But as long as he's playing defense, I'll take whatever from RJ Barrett, as long as we're able to have Fournier go crazy and Julius Randle go crazy. Me right now, the biggest thing I want to see from RJ Barrett is, can he lock up the opposing team's best player? And so far, he's answering that question. Joku Bidas is balling. Yeah, he's been balling. He had 22 like about 2 weeks ago. But for the most part, he's had like 6 points, 8 points. The thing with Rokas is the fact that he's been efficient. He's been extremely efficient, and he's been able to find his teammates. So those are a lot of the things that I'm liking from Rokas over there. Not so much the totals. It's how he's looking, his feel for the game, and his command for the game. No matter what big we bring here, they getting hurt. Just the pace and intensity we play at. I don't know. The last season, the Knicks really weren't one of the best teams. We didn't have the fastest pace out there. So I wouldn't say no matter what big we get, they're gonna be. Well, when you say pace, so you mean like pace out there on the court, or are you just talking Tom Thibodeau being who he is and giving you crazy minutes? So definitely intensity is a concern when it comes to our bigs trying to be healthy throughout the season, which is why we hope Taj Gibson is able to come back quickly. We hope Nerlens Noel is able to recover, because I don't want Mitch fresh off, return from injury with a Jones fracture to be playing 34 minutes every night. I would like to see him maybe at like 26, 27, ease him in, maybe 10, 15 games in, you see him at the 32, 33 minute mark if needed. Let's see. The Fisher is saying, I like the small ball. Yeah, that's 2 games that the Knicks have eradicated a deficit with the small ball lineup. First with the Wizards and now with the Celtics. So we did it against the Wizards in the games that quote unquote don't count. And now we did it in probably the biggest game. Well, yeah, it was the biggest game the Knicks have played this season. It was the season opener. So it's probably the most intense game the Knicks are probably going to see or experience up until that Hawks game, because like I said, the Garden was on fire. Let's see. Salute. What's good still, Knicks fans? If I'm not mistaken, you were at the game as well. I think I saw you in some pictures. If I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I think you were out there. Big Task is saying, yo, this chat is amazing. Salute to all of you. Facts. Salute to Big Task. Salute to all the mods. Appreciate you guys holding it down. Alexa Destroyer, salute. Who's the second option in crunch time? So Julius Randle, I think, would be first, and I think it kind of goes by feel. Like, how is the game going? Because I think Tibbs isn't going to have a set rotation coming into the season. I thought Derrick Rose was going to be the closer. He wasn't in the game to end the fourth. Kemba was in the game, so I think Tibbs is just going to have a feel for the game, fill out process, see who's clicking, what rotation or what lineup is working best, and go off of that. So I think if Julius Randle, he's going to be a definite out there. I think some games it'll be Evan Fournier, like we saw today. Some games it'll be Derrick Rose. I think a lot of games it'll be Derrick Rose, because even in this game, we saw Derrick Rose kind of put the nail in the coffin with his layup. And he's one of those guys that can create for himself. He's expanded his game now to where he's knocking down the three-pointer at a pretty good clip. He's also got the mid-range game, one of the few players on this team that can kill you in the mid-range, him along with Julius Randle. So if Derrick Rose is out there on the court, I fully expect him to be, the second option at times. Fournier will be the second option at times. It'll be great if we could see RJ Barrett kind of elevate his play and be a legitimate option in crunch time, and not in catch and shoot situations. I mean, creating off the dribble or attacking, the paint and finishing around the rim. I mean, there were a couple times RJ Barrett missed some layups that he should have completed. I think one, he got fouled, but the foul didn't throw off his shot or anything like that. He probably should have converted it. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Facts. Thank you, Big Task, for reminding me. If you're new to the chat, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to Sports Vibe TV and hit the notification bell. Yep, I'll be streaming again Sunday with Foxy. We'll be discussing the opener and as well as the two Magic games. So make sure you're subscribed. You got the bell icon lit up. That way you can pull up to the stream, chop it up. If you got any questions for me, if you got any questions for Foxy, you can access there. Let's see. Would have went to opener night, but I am not getting jabbed, being punished. It's unfortunate. What do you think of bringing in Brandon Ingram since the Pelicans in rebuild mode and most likely want to build around Zion? I don't know what the Pelicans are going to do, because I think I said it earlier. Zion is probably dealing with the same Jones fracture that Mitchell Robinson is dealing with. And one of the things that had me a little concerned, the fact that Mitchell Robinson dealing with the Jones fracture, and then now he's putting on additional weight. If you look at Zion's putting on the additional weight, but I don't look at him and say he's putting on the right type of weight. At least you look at Mitchell Robinson, his face is a little chunky, but for the most part, he looked like he put on solid muscle. With Zion, I don't know. He's getting a little too much into the gumbo over there in New Orleans. So that's something I'd be concerned about if I was a New Orleans Pelicans fan. Dealing with a Jones fracture, you got this additional weight. I think there's rumors circulating that he came into camp at like 300 pounds or in the area of 300 pounds, which is crazy if you ask me. But, to answer your question about Brandon Ingram, I don't know if I would want Brandon Ingram, because we got to do that. We'd have to move off of Evan Fournier, because I don't see us paying Evan Fournier like 17. What are we paying Fournier? Like right around 17 to 19 mil in that ballpark, and then go trade for Brandon Ingram, who I think is on a max or near or making near max money. I don't see that happen personally. Also in the chat, I'm pinning my X Factor video. It's a video I dropped right before the game last night, about 2 hours before the game. If you want, you can check it out. See what I think about some of these players for the rest of the season, who's going to be the X Factor, and what players we need to step up if we need this New York Knicks team, or if we want this New York Knicks team to get to the second round or to the conference finals. I got 3 players I discussed. And I also give a couple honorable mentions. And then at the end, I give a glue guy. So if that's a video you guys want to check out, it'll be pinned in the comment section when we wrap up here. Which is bigger concerns, Kemba or Quick? It's a pretty good question, Citizen X. Who is the bigger concern, Kemba or Quick? Got me stumped here. I'll probably say Quick. I'm not too concerned about Kemba. Nothing that I've seen from Kemba has made me say, he's lost a step or he's not going to be able to kind of overcome some of the little. He's not even in a funk. He shot 3 of 8, 3 or 4 from 3. Nothing wrong with Kemba, I would say personally. He's got to be a little bit better. Got to be a lot better defensively, but we have enough players on this team where we can kind of overcome that. More concerned about Quick because we need Quick. Quick is a scorer. We need, everybody. There's two different sides of the argument. Some people think Quick can be a point guard and facilitate. Others don't. But I think one place where there's no argument throughout the fan base is that Quick can get you a bucket. And if Quick is out there and he's, continuing to be inefficient with his shot, then, he's not going to help us out there offensively. And he's not going to be tantalizing to other teams if we want to put him in a package to then bring in some additional players. So I think my biggest concern right now would be Quick, even though, my concern is bigger for Quick than it is Kemba, but I'm not raising any alarms. It's one game. Quick will figure it out. I'm pretty sure he'll get things back on track. I'm not too worried about that. But if I had to say between Kemba or Quick, then I would go with Quick. I'm not too concerned with Kemba. Kemba's a vet. As long as his knee holds up, I think he'll be perfectly fine. Ben at point center when Mitch off court is intriguing on pace. The thing is, it's hard for me to say go out there and bring in a guy that's scared to shoot. It's one thing if you can't shoot. So for years, Giannis couldn't shoot, but Giannis didn't allow that to stop him from, attacking or being aggressive. The issue with Ben Simmons is not only can't he shoot, it's causing him to be tentative out there on the court and kind of shy away from the moment. And in the playoffs, it's hard to play 5-on-5. So now imagine having to be out there, imagine being out there playing 5-on-4 now offensively. It's just going to make things extremely difficult for you. And I don't think, the Knicks should go out there and put their name in the hat to try to go out there and bring in Ben Simmons. Not saying Ben Simmons isn't talented, not saying Ben Simmons is not going to have a great career moving on, throughout the years here in the NBA. I just don't think he's the right fit for New York and for what we're trying to do here. He's paid solid defense, and Tibbs would love that, but Tibbs is not going to like to see him give up on a wide open layup in a clutch moment in the playoffs. So I'm good on Ben personally. Evan Grimes with Ben as shooters. Ben OBJR transition will be on another level. That's fact, but my issue is not going to be in transition. The game isn't solely in transition. You got to have the half court offense, and if you got a guy out there that the defense not going to have to worry about putting up a shot, it's going to be extremely difficult. It was almost like it's going to be like the Hawks game almost, where you're able to kind of cheat off of Ben because you're not worried about Ben shooting or putting the ball up. On the opposite side, he'll be a dog defensively, but the name of the game is scoring more points than your opponent. If you're just helping us stop, if you're just helping us get stops, then you're still going to have to contribute something offensively. The guy didn't even want to put up a shot. That's the issue. Not that you can't shoot, just not putting up a shot is just a bad look out there when you have a team with 15 guys trying to win a championship. Knicks Nation is saying, salute Key, salute SVTV family. IQ and Knox give you the same. Why IQ get more opportunity is unfair. I don't know. I'm not saying this IQ and Knox give you the same. IQ, I think, is more engaged defensively. He came in this season, I think, as a better defender. He's a little bit more intensity coming from him on the defense. And I just don't think Knox, just his awareness out there on the court. It's not even just him in his man-to-man or off-ball defense. There was a play where he gave up an easy offensive rebound and put back that if he was just paying attention and seeking out his man to box out, it wouldn't be something that we'd have to even worry about. But the fact that he wasn't aware out there on the court is what's, I think, is so frustrating for this coaching staff. So I think IQ still gives us more. I think he has more range. He can shoot out further, even though he had a bad brick from the logo. That was a bad shot. But I think IQ has more range. I think IQ can create off the dribble better than Kevin Knox. I think Kevin Knox is just, for the most part right now, a catch and shoot piece. IQ at least can create off the dribble. We saw him get in his bag, trying to get new dribble moves, working on his mid-range, working on that floater. You look at Kevin Knox, the only thing you can say Kevin Knox can do is shoot. You look at IQ, you can say IQ can shoot. You say IQ can penetrate, even if it has to be with off a pick and roll, he can still penetrate, get in the paint, and make something happen. He also has that floater, even though he doesn't have the mid-range jump shot. He has that floater that he can pull out and use. Kevin Knox creates off the dribble. He really doesn't have a go-to move. Sometimes he's able to make a nice pass, but for the most part, he's like Reggie Bullock without the defense. Catch and shoot situations, and that's it. Knicks finally without drama. Facts. We can actually talk about basketball and not about the Knicks and some kind of turmoil going on. We can actually focus on what matters, and that's the basketball. The point guard we really need here is Shy. We get him. I like our chances at a ring this year. It depends if the Thunder are going to move on from him. They just gave him a max, if I'm not mistaken. So seems like they want him for the long haul. Problem with Knox is that he's a few steps slow on the defensive end of the floor. Facts, big task. I just think it's not even just him. He just doesn't read situations well. I think he doesn't analyze what's going on out there as quickly, no pun intended, as everybody else. And that's why you see him get beat a lot. Mm-hmm. Grimes and McBride getting quickly minutes. Sorry, just looking that way. Both have better court awareness. If they do, I'll live with that. I don't play favorites. Whoever is going to give us the best opportunity to win the game, they're the ones that need to be getting the minutes. And hopefully Quick continues to be the best option out there to get those minutes. But if not, we have to go to, Grimes and McBride. I'll live with that too. Knox over quickly. I think that's a reach. I think Knox needs a new environment. He needs a coach that'll be willing to let him learn on the job. I think what Tibbs is trying to do, he's trying to win the most games possible. And I think Knox doesn't contribute enough. He's not as important to our long-term success for Tibbs to be willing to allow him to learn on the job. I mean, Obi is a recent 8th overall pick, and Tibbs didn't want to allow him to learn on the job. So he's definitely not going to let Kevin Knox learn on the job. He didn't let Frank learn on the job. So he's definitely going to need a new environment where a coach is going to allow him to make mistakes and not yank him at the first opportunity. Oh, look, Nick Station said this is pretty much what I just said, I think, in the same train of thought. This is unfair to Knox, and this is why we have not seen any improvement from Knox. We give him 4 minutes. He gave us 4 points. We give him 12 minutes. He gives us 12 points. Knox has to get opportunity. Facts. I don't disagree with you from there. A floater from foul line is not a good shot, even if it went in. I think it depends. If Derrick Rose at times has that little push floater that he shoots from, the foul line. If you're able to get that shot off, and it's, I think the issue is when that's your only way to score in the mid range is that floater from foul line. If based on how you're attacking the defense, the floater is the best tool to use in that situation. That's perfectly fine. But if that's all you have in your toolbox, then you're going to say, all right, we need you to get a nice mid-range jump shot. But a floater from the foul line, I think in a vacuum, you can't just say it's a terrible shot, because you have guys like Quis, you have guys like Derrick Rose who can knock down that shot consistently. I think the big difference between Derrick Rose and Emmanuel quickly is the fact that Derrick Rose has more in his toolbox, more in his repertoire that he can pull out, and you're not seeing him throw up 5-6 of those floaters a game. It's when you start seeing him throw up, 3-4 of those, you're like, all right, you got to try something a little bit different, especially when they're not going up. If he throws up 4 or 5 and they're all going up, going in, no one's going to go crazy. But if he's shooting, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, then people are going to say, well, if you had a nice mid-range jump shot, you'd be able to get that. Maybe you could have made, 3 of those 5 that you missed. Let's see what else we got. Citizen X, salute. Thank you for the $5 super chat, saying great analysis and insight. I appreciate you. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Salute to you, Citizen X. You've been around for a long time. One of the OGs. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Tony Parker was a floater. It's okay if you have the floater, if you use the floater from, the free throw line. I'm not saying never throw up a floater from the free throw line. It's just you need to be more versatile in your approach. This is a cup of tea issue because RJ learned on the job. Obi is getting opportunity to improve on the job. Knox is not getting the opportunity because he is not Tibbs' cup of tea. Well, RJ, it's a little bit different because now RJ was the 3rd overall pick. So that's a much bigger investment. You picked RJ 2 years ago, 3rd overall. You picked Kevin Knox, 3 years ago, and he was an 8th overall pick. So there's not at RJ Barrett as an asset if you're just going to put everything black and white or put it into like numbers or something. He's a bigger asset that you have to kind of treat a little differently as opposed to an 8th overall pick. You really should not be missing on the 3rd overall pick. People miss on the 8th overall pick. We've done it before, but at the 3rd overall pick, that's where you need to find a legitimate piece that's going to help alter the trajectory of your franchise. So that's why you're going to see RJ Barrett get a little bit more leeway. But last season, Tibbs was not scared to pull RJ and put him on the bench. There's a bunch of times we were asking, where's RJ? Where's RJ? So he's able to learn on the job, but he can't go out there and put up stinkers because Tibbs isn't going to be scared to pull him and sit him on the bench and say, all right, you're going to have to relax. I think RJ played so many minutes last season. He's one of the leaders in minutes per game because he earned those minutes. And it was not just because he was the 3rd overall pick. I think he was doing a lot of good things out there. And in the games where he was having a rough time with it, a rough go with it, Tibbs wasn't scared to sit him on the bench. So that's just my the way I see it. Obi barely got any minutes last season. It wasn't like Obi was allowed to learn on the job. Tibbs would sit Obi with the quickness, and everybody, the fan base is like, yo, Tibbs, what you doing with Obi? Why you not letting Obi? You kind of learn on the job. But the minute Tibbs saw something that he didn't like from Obi, he pulled them. And you're seeing, I guess, the benefit of that this season because now Obi is not taking those minutes for granted. He put in the work in the offseason, doing what he got to do, and he's being rewarded for it. That's what I like to see from Tibbs, the fact that Tibbs is rewarding the guys that are putting the work in. And as a coach, I might not like some of his rotations and things like that. But if the guys are putting in the work and it's paying off, then that's going to be something that you can build upon as a team. They'll have trust in their coach, and the coach will continue to have trust in them. Obi got way more minutes than now. Yeah, last season, because Obi was a new draft pick. You got to see what you have in Obi. Knox, I don't think Knox fits this system. I think Knox just, he doesn't have the defensive IQ that I think Tibbs really, really wants his wing defenders to have. So I think that's probably one of the biggest issues. I don't think that's as much of a concern with RJ. So RJ is going to be given a little bit more leeway. And right now, RJ is in the discussion for a legitimate two-way star. Never in life would Kevin Knox be in the discussion for a legit two-way star. So if Knox was kick in with as much defense as RJ is bringing in games, I think Knox would get a lot more minutes, a lot more opportunities. But if the defense isn't there, Tibbs is not going to make that trade-off just to get better shooting. I think Tibbs can look at his lineup, see players that can knock down the three just as well, but play better defense. Quiet money. Salute, salute, salute. Let's see what we got. You can't even compare Knox to RJ or Obi for that matter. There's a region Knox is where he's at after 3 years. Facts. But I mean, I look at all our draft picks and I want them to succeed. So hopefully he'll move on and succeed elsewhere. Let's see. How did we get into a Knox show? I didn't even know how we ended up talking about Knox. That came out of left field. All right, so let's wrap it up there. We got 84 likes. I was on a lot longer than I expected. I thought I was going to do a 30-minute stream, but, chopping it up with the chat, chopping it up with SV Nation. Time flies. Appreciate you guys supporting the live stream. We got 145 in chat, which to me is bonkers. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. We're gearing up for a phenomenal season. Make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you guys can, join us for the ride as we go through a magical season this year, 2021, 2022. I got the video discussing the biggest X factors on this team. If you want to check it out, it's pinned. You guys can click it and move there after this live stream. Shout out to all the mods for holding us down. Big task. I see you're still in the chat. Lex the Destroyer in the chat as well. Thank you to you guys. You guys have been phenomenal, helping to drive the show. It's a solo stream, so me by myself. It's a little interesting talking to a camera without much feedback, but you guys, help keep me comfortable and in the zone. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the support. We got a great season in front of us. So once again, thank you. Appreciate your support, and I'm out. That was a good stream. Am I done? Oh, no, I'm not done. Whoopsie.